Unleash the power of purpose with impactful business voices, hosted by Nancy Baki and Anita Larsen. Each week, you'll be inspired by stories from companies that are making a real difference in the world, and you'll learn practical tips on how to grow your business with an impact.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for listening to Impactful Business Voice Podcast. Guys, we're here every week. We talk to a different business owner that is making an impact in our world, in their communities, and on the lives of their clients as well. So we're here to find out what drives them and hope that it inspires you to make an impact in your own business as well. We're your hosts. I'm Nancy Baki.
I'm Anita Larsen, and it's great to have you here again. So I'm very excited about today's guest. She's a longtime friend, and she just recently released a book. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and get some insights from her and learn how to turn adversity into stepping stones for growth and turn adversity into purpose and opportunities. So we're going to talk to Sheryl Cattell. Welcome, Sheryl, to the show.
There I am. It's like magic.
Hi,
Well, it's good to be here. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Anita.
Welcome, Sheryl. Listen, I've heard so many such amazing things. I know you and Anita know each other for many, many years, and now you live closer to each other, which is awesome. Listen, very nice to meet you. Anita has been telling me about your business name, and I was so curious to understand what is behind the name Almaya, and I hope I'm pronouncing it properly.
Well, thanks for asking, Nancy. Actually, I got an email today from the United States Trademark and Patent Office, and it has been approved by the office as a registered trademark. And now it has 30 days. So it will be posted for 30 days. And after 30 days, with no contest, it will be a registered trademark. 2 years in the making.
Wow.
So so it's actually a very special day. So thank you for asking, Nancy. So Almaya actually came from, I spent about 5 years at a Hindu ashram located south of Charlottesville in Yogaville. And one of the concepts that they talk about is Maya. And Maya represents kind of the illusion that we think is reality. So it's not really reality. It's what we see through our perceptions, our experiences, our judgments, our past. And it's really just an illusion because life just happens. There's no good or bad, but we are the ones that add, oh, this is bad, or oh, this is good. And so when I actually started using Almaya in 1994, it was my email address, and I have also had it on my car license plate. And it's mainly for me. It's to remind me that no matter what is happening, no matter what I think is happening in my life, no matter how bad I might think it is, or whatever I'm going through, I remind myself it's all Maya. It's just an illusion. And it helps. It helps me realize I have a choice at any moment in time. I can choose to see a situation differently. And so that's where the words Almaya come from.
I love it. It's just it's so different. By the way, I just want to mention I am in a hotel, guys, on location. So in case you hear background noise, I will try to put myself on mute every time. So hopefully you don't hear babies crying and all this. But what a beautiful concept. I love it. I even just saying the word Almaya, it's so fulfilling. And I don't usually feel that in words, but I just want to share that with you. When I heard that word, it's like a fulfilling word.
Yeah, well, thank you. It has a lot of meaning to me, and the more people that I work with, it's surprising how many people don't ask, but when they do ask, they're like, "Oh, wow, that makes total sense." Especially the work I do, with life coaching, mental health coaching. A big part of it is realizing that the negative emotions we carry around with us, we go into a meeting, we're nervous, we're upset. Somebody says something, it totally destroys us, right? Those are opportunities for us to take an adversity. Those are little adversities and turn them into purpose, right? To turn them into, this is a gift. This is not happening to me. It's happening for me. But if I'm not fully present and able to embrace that, I'll never receive the gift and I'll stay stuck in that negativity. So it's a gentle reminder for me. I'm having a bad day. I'll go out and get in my car and I'll go, oh, that's right. It's just an illusion. It's not real.
It's
So,
great. And it's I think it's very special to find a business name and tie your business into something so personal that it gives you that reminder. Like you said, I think that's very special.
well, it's interesting. I would say the last 3 years, COVID really kind of jolted me into becoming more aligned with my spiritual purpose. And I think that more and more of us, when we get to that point, when we're ready to embrace that we're just spiritual beings having a human experience, that's when those kinds of things come together. Like originally, the name of my company was Personal Legend Coaching, taken from The Alchemist, the book. And it was challenged. And so I couldn't have it. And I was destroyed. I was just devastated. Because I had put, you don't know, hundreds and hundreds of hours into social media, websites, logo design, everything, and business cards. And I was so attached to that name. And in hindsight, I was just lamenting. I was being not aware of my choice. And my wife said to me, All Maya has been a part of your life for as long as I've known you, 20 years. It would make a lot of sense if that were your business name. And in hindsight, the gift of being told I couldn't have personal legend coaching was the biggest gift I received, because now my business name means really something very dear to me. And it's something that can communicate even when I don't or when I'm not there. So it happens for us, not to us.
Yeah, it's a great example of it. So I want to take a step back, Sheryl, because when I first met you, I don't even know how long ago, but it's been a long time. You were in a corporate career. You were a marketing executive. You were an extreme workaholic. And you were my client at the time. And I remember getting calls from you like Saturday nights while I was on vacation. You're like, what's going on with this? And I'm like, you were all into the corporate world. And now you're kind of taking a step back and you're doing your own thing. You're embracing your spiritual side. You're doing life coaching, mental health coaching. You wrote a book. So what happened between now and then? What took you on this journey?
Well, I think the biggest thing that happened, and let me say I haven't changed. I am equally as passionate about what I'm doing right now, Anita.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't
It's
expect
like,
anything less.
yeah, and my past actually has led me to where I'm at right now. Let me tell you how that is. So as you mentioned, I was vice president of digital marketing for Bank of America. I was in charge of all the marketing, advertising, all of the SEO and public relations for Travelocity. And those are jobs that you really have to give your all.
Yeah.
And what's happened is the main thing that I do right now is I'm a mental health coach for Lyra Health. And Lyra Health has coaching and therapy employee assistance programs with some of the biggest companies. Most of them I can't say, but most of them are in California. And so now I get to talk to people that were in exactly the same position that I am, that I used to be in corporate America. And it all comes together. It's all, you think, well, why did I have to go through that? Because now I can speak their language. Most of the people who choose me on my bio are looking for that 40 plus years of corporate experience, very high level executive. I know what it's like to go through a reduction in force. I know what it's like to be terminated, to be let go. And I can relate to that. And yet, I'm also able to take all of the skills that I learned in terms of coaching, mentoring, teaching, training. That was my favorite part of the job, if you recall,
Right.
was developing my team and developing a really close-knit, high-performing team. And so now I get to do that with some of the best and the brightest in the industry, the most uh, determined and aspiring people that work in corporate America today. And they come to me because they're anxious, because they're sad or depressed. They're dealing with grief, they're dealing with death. And everyone, I think, at some point in their lives needs a coach or a
Mhm.
mentor or somebody that they can share and get a perspective, to get the Maya perspective and
Absolutely.
help them separate from the emotional trauma that they might be going through. And it's usually just a momentary, blip that once they get through it, I give them tools that they can apply and take away. They don't need to stay a client of mine forever. The goal is I teach them how to coach themselves. So it all feeds into what I'm doing right now. All those Saturday nights calling you,
Right.
I know that they're going through the same thing. A lot of them struggling with sleep problems
Mhm.
because they've got something going on in their brain and they can't shut it down.
Yeah.
So been
Stress
there, done
management.
that, at the
Yeah.
T-shirt to prove it. Yeah.
I remember. And it's it's interesting what you said. You're kind of now coaching people that are going through what you went through, because they say that your best customer is the old you,
Yep.
and you're kind of
Mm.
proving that point.
Yep.
Yeah.
I totally get it when they come to me and they say, "Oh, I've got a really big presentation and we've got screaming babies. We have a really big
Yeah.
presentation." That's okay, Nancy.
Screaming babies, Nancy.
Like, listen, I'm a little jealous that Nancy didn't take us on vacation. So,
Right.
we got to give her a hard time. But, I've personally been there. I absolutely know what they're going through. And I'm able to use the other thing that's interesting, again, everything comes together, is I'm able to use my hatha yoga, pranayama, breathing from living at the Hindu ashram and becoming a certified yoga instructor and pranayama teacher. And so a lot of the tools I give them are breathing practices. I'll give them things that they can do a vagus nerve reset, which is a way using ice to calm their breathing, their heart rate, that'll allow them to slow down their negative thinking.
Mm.
So even that I'm able to bring to bear on my current situation. It's like everything that's happened to me happened for a reason.
Yeah.
And I'm able to
Everything
use
happens for a reason.
exactly.
Everything.
You
Sometimes
just
we
don't know what it
question
is
it.
at the time. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think over the years, and I think you've learned that because I feel your energy, Cheryl. You just, okay, this happened. There was a reason for it. Whatever it is, let me just accept it. Whether it's for the
Hmm.
good or the bad, right? Even if the bad happens, there's a reason that it happened. If it's something that we gotta fix or whatever it is, right? So every
Hmm.
time you say it, and that's what I said, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. In my book, and I'll give a
Yeah,
shameless
that's what I wanted
plug.
to
Yes.
ask you actually.
Yeah.
In my book, I actually share a lot of really very, very personal stories. And if you'll entertain the thought of talking about something that's maybe a little controversial, are we allowed to do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Unwanted pregnancy.
Oh.
So yeah, and I found myself at the age of 15 pregnant. And the father of the child was a heroin addict and a felon, and so I was certain that this was not the life I wanted for me or the child. And this was in 1973, Roe versus Wade.
Mm.
And fortunately, I had an option. I had the opportunity to make a decision that was best for all people involved. And I'm going to say it wasn't something I took very lightly. It was a very, very difficult decision. And afterwards, I probably spent weeks in a very, very dark place, nightmares of waking up with dead children in my arms. And eventually, what happened was I was able to be okay enough to know that I wanted to help other women make this difficult decision, actually, girls. And it just so happened that there was an overdose at our high school, and the school superintendent's daughter died in the bathroom. And so I stepped up as a leader of the school and said, we need to get peer counseling in here. We need to help kids through hard things so that they're not turning and self-medicating, so they're not taking their own lives. And what happened was I became part of this peer counseling. We interviewed and hired a peer counseling coordinator. We went through significant training, and I spent the rest of my high school years counseling girls who were making that decision. And I told them, this is not an easy decision. There are consequences on both sides. And what happened was then we started a crisis hotline. It was a suicide hotline. And this is back in the 70s. This is before there was the national um, uh, resources. So this was all community based. Now, what happened is, as a result, I went to college but couldn't afford, paid my own way. And so all of my training qualified me to be a resident assistant. So my room and board was paid for. So
Oh, that's great.
if I hadn't had this experience that really motivated me to want to make it eat better for people like me, kids, to help them through these difficult things, I never would have uh, got the training. I probably wouldn't have been able to make it through school, through college, because of the financial burden it was. I did end up graduating with student loans, but what an amazing experience
Oh
to
my
be able
gosh.
to give back. Yeah.
That
So
is so huge. I mean, it's really a transformation of what you've done
Mm.
for yourself first, and then you took that and impacted the world. Yeah. So your book, Turning Adversity into Purpose, love it. I'm gonna definitely get it. Um, I just want to talk to you first. Honestly, I like to talk to the authors, and it's like I feel a great, like I said, a great energy, great story behind what you do, and I'm glad that you are comfortable in bringing it publicly, because I think it's really important for these teenagers of this crazy world that's going on right now,
Yeah.
especially the girls. I'm not saying the boys, no, but especially the girls.
yeah, it's on us.
they
Yeah.
they need to hear that. They need to have those places where they can call, where they can visit, without, and I'm not going to say without parents. I mean, I'm very close with my daughter, but there are some parents that are not,
Right.
but that they have a place that they can call and just be
Mhm.
comfortable. Um, how did it come about, and like, how are you transforming adversity or crisis into growth opportunities? And maybe you can share a few takeaways from your book with the audience, so that they can say they really want to go out and buy that book of yours.
Well, I would say the first thing, when you say how am I doing it today, the life coaching, the mental health coaching I do. So I do it one person at a time. The book for me was really a way to try to do that on scale, right? I can only take 8 clients a day, and to be able to reach more people with the same message, right? I would say that the first thing that I share with my clients is that the only reason that we're here, the purpose of life. How's that? You come to a life coach and they're going to tell you the meaning of life. And I'll share it with you now because I truly, in my years on this earth, believe this is what the purpose of life is. We think that we come to go to work, to have podcasts, to do social media, and that's not it. What we're here for, the reason we're on this planet is to give and receive love. That's it.
I love it.
Mm.
I'll take that.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, and so, we get caught up in people's expectations, the things that they want us to do, what we think people expect from us,
Public
what we think
image.
is the right, yeah, right, the
Mhm.
image, uh, and really none of that makes sense. None of that is what is important, because each one of us is an individual, like our thumbprints. We, as a human being, as a spiritual being having this human experience, we are so unique in all the world. You think about it, that we have unique skills, unique knowledge, unique experiences. There's no path that's the right path for every single person. The only place that we know our path is inside, to go within. And that's what I encourage all of my clients to do. I say to them, first off, how do you trust your intuition? So, Nancy, do you trust your intuition? Yeah. Yeah. And Anita.
Abs. I'm trying to unmute and mute. Absolutely, I do. Thank
And
you.
you, Anita?
I do. I would say I trust my intuition, and if I don't act on my intuition, I tend to regret it later.
Right. And so part of what I do is I work with people to start trusting their intuition and to listen to the small, still voice within. Not the monkey voice, not the monkey chatter, well, you need to do this, and your mom said you should do this, and you let this person down, and this wasn't perfect. You had a typo. Uh, Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's not the meaning of life, and that's not why we're here.
Right.
I love, because a lot of the people I work with are highly credentialed, highly educated, and I love to say to them, you know, uh, Bill Gates dropped out of college. Uh, Jesus Christ didn't have a manual when he needed to walk on water. There was no school or certification that taught him how to do that. He knew how to do that because of his inner conviction, his willingness to listen to that small, still voice and to act with unwavering faith. And I think that's what we're all asked to do. We come
Mm.
here, we're asked to listen to the small, still voice within ourselves and to act with unwavering faith. And that's where our true happiness will come from. That's where our purpose comes from. That's where we get to the good stuff. And so that's what I do on a regular basis. So
It's great.
It's a blessing, Cheryl. Honestly, I love it.
I do
You
too.
mentioned,
I love what I do. I feel guilty because in the olden days I had to do what I love to do, which was coaching and mentoring. But I also had to do a lot of things like budgets and
mm,
metrics and did we meet our goals, our acquisition targets, and I don't have to do that anymore. All I talk about is the meaning of life,
and
and
you
I
had to
help
conform
people.
to other people's expectations,
Right.
right?
And what a joy and what a delight that is to be able to do that for a living. And I encourage
Yeah.
everybody to listen to things that happen. This is one of the biggest things I have. A lot of people come, they suffer from negative emotions. I ruminate, something happens, I replay the conversation over and over again. And I say, what if we were able to, and I do a whole meditation with them, a mindful awareness, and we talk about where is it in your body. Most people are feeling it in their chest. They'll feel a tightness in their chest. They'll feel their heart beating. They'll feel a shortness of breath. And what I tell them is that when they're in that negative emotion, they're operating out of fear. So the limbic system here at the very base of the brain, that's where they're living their lives. And
Mhm.
so what happens is that part of our brain is so undeveloped, it just shoots out cortisol and adrenaline and fully fills our body and our mind with toxic chemicals. And then more we do that is what eventually leads to immunodysfunctional diseases. It leads to heart disease. It leads to cancer. Is a lot of evidence that proves that our minds are the most powerful thing we have to protect or to infect our health.
Yeah.
And so I like to work with people to let go of the need to focus on negativity and to be willing to see things from a different perspective. So that's a big part of what I do is try to save people from themselves. And the first step for anybody who's listening who's struggling with irritable bowel syndrome, another great toxic chemical response, or even feeling tightness in the chest or the heart, what I encourage you to do is to embrace that, kind of like Tara Brach. We embrace that part of ourselves and give thanks. Give thanks that we have a physical reminder because we're obviously not getting it
Right.
mentally. And so embrace that and say, I see you. I see you. I hear you. I feel you. Now, what is mine to do? What is it I need to get out of the way? What obstacle do I need to remove so that I can have a clear flow and I don't need to have all of my energy sucked into these negative emotions? What happens is, it's like magic. All of a sudden, you're present, you're engaged. All of your energy is available for your prefrontal cortex where your executive functions live. So you are creative, you're inspired, you're compassionate, you have love. These things are not available to us when we flip our lids and are filling our minds and our bodies with toxins.
Hmm.
And so that's the whole goal. A lot of what I do is just embracing and accepting that part and then pulling it back, saying, it's okay. I need that energy to solve this in my life. So,
It's interesting, and I know we had a couple episodes, I think, Nancy, where we also talked about how the stress and expectations and how
Mm-hmm.
we treat ourselves, how it physically impacts our body, and how it, you know, I forgot the word, but yes, how it physically impacts the body, and
yeah,
yeah, and your mind makes your body sick if you're not listening. It's very true, and I like
yeah.
that. Embrace it and make sure you're aware of it, and yeah.
There's a
It's
great book called Mind Over Medicine. It's written by a PhD doctor, medical doctor, surgeon, who started looking into this because she was tired of hearing it's Mind Over Medicine. Her name is Dr. Lisa Rankin, and she ended up discovering, and we know that the medical community knows this,
Hmm.
that between 30 and 60% of all medical trials, the placebo is the most effective means of addressing any disease that they're treating.
hmm.
Yes. And she went, why are we not studying the placebo effect?
Right,
Why are we not looking at what is it that can cause somebody to have the power to heal themselves?
because there's no money in that.
Exactly. Exactly.
We had a few episodes about that as well, the healthcare system, and yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Yes. So I was gonna just say, we have our own experiences and with adversities that shape that shape. Let's go. Let's do that again. How has your own experience with adversity really shaped your approach to coaching and life in general?
mm,
I don't know if you could share that a little bit.
mhm. So I think that again, a short story I'd love to share with you.
mhm.
So I just recently got certified, like on Saturday, 2 days ago, as a licensed prayer practitioner for religious science. And what I know is that if you change your mind, you can change your life. And I always knew that about the future, right? And that's part of the All Maya. It's just an illusion. I can change it. And by changing it, I feel differently. I show up differently. I'm ready. I'm ready to engage. What I've discovered a few years ago, well, actually more than a few years ago, it was midlife, um, that I could actually change the past. And let me tell you how I discovered that. Yeah, that's what I said. possible. So I had a relationship with my father. He left when I was not even a year old, and he left the marriage. And I saw him every other weekend, but I always resented him. It's like, how could you leave me? A little child's mind, why did you do this? Why did you leave me? What was wrong with me? On and on and on. So for my whole life, I never wanted to let myself open up and receive any love from him because I felt, he hurt me. I couldn't trust him. And so when I was 35, I went to a retreat. And for 22 days, I had to tell my life story every single day. However, I had to change, and that's in the book. I have an exercise where you get to do this. So one day I had to just tell your story. The second day, I had to be the hero. The third day, I had to be the villain. The fourth day, it had to be a comedy. The fifth day, you get the idea.
Yeah.
So what happened is we couldn't change any of the facts, but we had to change the theming of the story. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. 22 days later, I was so sick of my story, and I totally realized it was just a story. It was just a story, and something incredibly powerful happened. I came to the realization that my father had loved me all my life in the best way that he could, and that it was the wall that I had built between us that prevented it from getting through. And when I told my story and realized it was my wall, I took it down and I got flooded with 35 years of love. And it was almost overwhelming. If you can imagine 35 years of pent up love, it was like I saw my whole life in the past differently. I saw all the love he was sending my way. And I called him that night and I said, Daddy, Daddy, I got it. I got it. I got it. You were sending me love. He said, honey, you have no idea. And he just bawled. He just cried. I said, I tried so hard. But it was my unwillingness to let it in, not his unwillingness to give it. And so that's a story that reminds me that we don't only change the future, but we can change our past. And Anita, that's when I moved to Florida.
Oh, okay.
Right after that seminar, I moved from Texas to Florida and spent every Friday night with my dad, went to birthdays and,
He was in
anniversary.
Florida.
Yeah, he lived in
Oh, that's
Florida.
great.
Yeah. And so I had the love and the relationship that I was meant to have and was
Such an
finally
amazing
open.
story.
Yeah. Well,
So,
before we leave,
yeah.
I don't know how we're doing on time, but before
Okay.
we wrap up, I have a poem that I recite every day to myself because I am a very passionate, emotional person, and this poem helps me to make friends with my emotions, and I'd love to share it if you're open to it.
Absolutely. Let's hear it.
Okay. So it is written by Rumi, who is a philosopher from, I believe, the 1200s, and it's called The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a pain, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of furniture. Still, treat each one honorably. They may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, even the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes because each has been sent as a gift from beyond.
I want to read that every morning.
I read it I recite it every morning. It's part of my
Oh, it's
spiritual practice.
powerful. It's powerful. I love it.
I,
I love
I
it.
think I think we need to end on that poem because that was absolutely beautiful. And I think everybody needs to go out and get Cheryl's book because there's a lot of takeaways from there that I think we all need to incorporate in our lives. So, turning adversity to purpose, and it's on Amazon, right? And you have the link
It's
here.
on Barnes and Noble, Amazon, most of the major, and it's got a foreword by my reverend. So,
Great.
Nice.
so
Very nice. Cheryl, it has been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us on our podcast this morning. We're
thank you
going to
for
just put
having
you on
me.
stage. Yes, thank you. We're going to put you on stage just for a few minutes. We're going to come back and join you. Anita and I are just going to, put some key
Do your
takeaways
takeaways.
that you brought us in, and we'll come back and see you.
Sounds great.
Thank you. That was a great conversation. And I want to
That
thank
was
Cheryl for being open and vulnerable and sharing such personal stories that were very impactful. First of all, I think that was such a great share.
Yeah, and just because you said that, I mean, the fact that when we see a business flourish like hers comes from
Mm.
a personal situation, challenge in life that, of course, other people in the world are going through as well. And her just really building a business around that, like I felt her
Mhm.
impact from that first minute that she spoke, honestly. Um, and I love that, she really talks about the meaning of life, that we are here on earth to love and to receive love, but we have to not forget to love, because a lot
Yeah.
of people, and some people do forget to receive love as well. It is hard until you understand that it's okay to receive as well, right? I mean, I have
And
a
it's
few little pointers. Go ahead.
yeah, and to what you say, making that your business. And I have to say, I just really love the meaning of her business name. It's such a great story,
Yes.
and it it's the value. It's her values in her business, and to tie those two together just makes such a huge impact on. I mean, this is really a business lesson for everybody. If you find a way to make your business personal to you and your values, then you're always going to find a way to drive your business forward because
Mm-hmm.
now it's not just the business, it's you, it's your goals, your personal goals, and it reflects who you are as an individual. So to be able to do that in the way that Cheryl has, I think it's so important and something everybody needs to consider if they're looking to start a business or maybe reconsider if they're already running one. How am I running it? Am I running my business according to my personal values, or am I just treating it as a business and looking at it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it kind of goes to our whole impactful business voices. Are you running your business with impact to yourself
Absolutely.
and the people around you?
Absolutely. Another point that I thought was really great, and it's really just because I live like this as well, but those small voices that we hear,
Hmm.
you know, we have to listen to them, whether they're the good, the positive, the negative, they all happen for a reason, right? Everything happens for a reason. So we have to open our ears and really walk with it, and walking with that unwavering faith that she was talking about. So I really love that, because again, I do live like that every day. Um, and
So you're
as
saying
well,
listen to your intuition? Is that what you're saying?
in a way, yeah. I mean, again, it's, you know, I changed my entire life and I put Jesus in my life when I was about
Mhm.
33, 32, something like that. So when she speaks, I'm like, oh my God, it's the way that I feel. It's the way that, and some people are like, hey, Nancy, why are you smiling all the time? Why are you always in a good mood? I'm like, well, why not? I woke up this morning. Like, there's some people that have not woken up this morning out of bed. So yeah, I'm smiling because I'm alive, and it's just so important sometimes to just, in life, we're going to have tribulations. We're going to have trials. We're going to have a lot of things in our life, the good and the bad. Okay. But like she said, we always have to listen to them, watch them, see what we can do. It could be a message for us, and it could be a message for somebody that we're going to meet that day that we don't even know. Right. It's just the way that, yeah, I don't want to, I
Yeah,
could talk about that for days,
I know.
honestly. Um,
But the overall theme of this and Cheryl's book, Turning Adversity into Purpose, as we had this conversation and listen to some of Cheryl's examples, you know, these are things that happen in all our lives, and we just haven't looked at it from that viewpoint before.
Absolutely.
So now to take a step back and reflect on it. You remember when that happened to you? Wait, what was the real purpose of that? Where did that take me in my life?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is probably the reason you are where you are right now, or in your past where something changed, you came to a crossroads.
Yeah.
So I think it is important to recognize that there are reasons things are happening, and there are ways you can turn them around and how you look at it.
Yeah. She mentioned something earlier, and I know, like, IBS is not something that we talk about, but whether it's chest pain, whether it's stress, or whatever it is that we do, right? There's a
Mhm.
reason that happens. So I know when I go to get my massage at my therapist, she'll touch my foot and she's like, "Oh, you've got pain there. It's inflamed. That means you have a problem with your liver, or you need to do this, right?" And so everything is connected. I know if I go to my doctor, they'll never know any of that. But it is very important to realize, okay, when we have a pain here or whatever happens, there is something going on.
Yeah,
But what I really love that she said, give thanks for whatever that is,
accept it and
embrace
embrace
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I have a liver problem. Well, let me embrace it and recognize, what is it that obstacle that I need to maybe take away, or whatever it is, right? That everything happens for a reason, whether it's the pain, the stress, all that, and know that there's something that needs to be done by you. So you have to be open.
Yeah.
The other thing that I really love that she said is, when you change, I hope I'm gonna say it the same way as she did. Well, it's not gonna be the same way, but when you change your mind, you feel very different. And when you feel like you're accepting the change, then you will show up differently, and you will be ready to engage in whatever it is,
Mm. And that it's
right?
okay to change your mind, that you're
Yes,
perfectly allowed to change your mind.
exactly. And the last point that I got from her, and again, it really just touches my heart, is that we all have our own story,
Hmm.
you know, but we do create barriers, and we create that wall in front of us. We create it. And when the humans realize that we are creating that wall or that barrier, we need to learn how to take it down, just like she did, so
Hmm.
that we can take those changes, well, make those changes, excuse me, and really be able to go and change our life if we choose to, right? Because if
Which
we
will be
choose
a
not,
part of how
then
we go forward. Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are my awesome takeaways from her. She was such a delight to speak to, honestly.
Definitely. So yeah, we're happy to have her here today. So
Yes.
with
So,
that,
guys, yes, make sure that you guys keep in touch with Anita and myself to learn what else we've got going on, what opportunities, and if you guys have any additional information or questions, or you want to learn from us, you know where to meet us. We're here every Tuesday, so don't miss any of our future episodes. You can definitely find a copy of our recording on our YouTube channel, Impactful Business Voices. So just keep supporting us. Click on the subscribe button so that you get a notification every week.
and next Tuesday is our monthly business lounge. So join Nancy and I for basically our monthly coaching session where we're going to talk about next week is the conversion formula. So it's basically how to structure and write your messaging and your offers to get maximum conversion for your business. So if you are a business owner, you're struggling with your marketing performance, a lot of time that is because of your messaging and how you're presenting yourself and your offer. So this will be a great episode for you to sit in on. So with that, we will see you next Tuesday.
Until next week, guys, go make an impact.
Thank you for listening to Impactful Business Voices. Subscribe now and don't miss an episode.